जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Today, actually, first of all, thank you to Komala Didi for choosing some of the topics that we can recycle from long way back. I think this is probably something we did in 2010, maybe something like that. So she's really helping in that way to really bring some other thing that we can do, because many of the families, other than the seniors, other than the senior families, they may not be really knowing about so many weeks that we are really done. So now this is today I am really going to be talking about 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 main topics that it is dealing with. For example, Bhagavad Gita is talking about 5 topics, and here Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 topics in so much detail. Alright, so first of all, if you see the Puranas, the 18 main Puranas, they have so many slokas you won't believe. Srimad Bhagavatam, which is also called Mahapurana, is having 18,000 slokas. But however, this is not the entire Puranas. It is actually only 7 days. That the Sukadeva Goswami actually instructed Parikshit Maharaj. That's all we really got. It is not the entire Puranas. Different planetary systems, they have their own version which are really higher and higher. Right? So then Brahma Purana 10,000 slokas, Padma Purana 55,000, Vishnu Purana 23,000, Shiva Purana 24,000, Narada Purana 25,000, Markandeya Purana 9,000, Agni Purana 15,400 slokas, Bhavishya Purana 14,500 slokas, Brahma Vairtha Purana 18,000 slokas, Linga Purana 11,000 slokas, Varaha Purana 24,000, Skanda Purana 81,100 slokas. This is probably the largest of all the Puranas. Vamana Purana, that is 10,000 slokas, Kurma Purana 17,000 slokas, Matsya Purana 14,000 slokas, Garuda Purana 19,000 slokas, and Brahmanda Purana 12,000 slokas. All the Puranas, if you all the main Puranas, okay, there are 18 Upa Puranas also, okay, that I am not including here. Anyway, so if you add these itself, that comes to 400,000 slokas. But you won't believe, just Jiva Goswami alone, out of the 6 Goswamis, whatever he has written, in fact, not, for hardly anything is actually even digested nowadays. So many things are there. And he wrote 400,000 slokas. Just one Goswami, that is Jiva Goswami. Okay, then I am not including the other Goswamis did. But the thing is, the world is not able to understand. Only now ISKCON is really spreading Krishna consciousness so much. Eventually, this all will come higher and higher. There are so much of scriptures that many even have not seen yet. Now, taking the Puranas, there are three kinds of Puranas. So if you see Sattvic Puranas, Rajasic Purana and the Tamasic Purana. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost of all. It is actually above Sattvic. That means Suddha Sattvic. Okay, so that's why it's called Mahapurana. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, even if you lost all the scriptures in the world, but you have only Srimad Bhagavatam, you haven't lost anything at all. Not even a single thing that you lost. So that is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Amala Purana. Okay. So now Sattvic Puranas, Vishnu Purana, Narada Purana, Padma Purana, Garuda Purana, Varaha Purana and Srimad Bhagavatam above all these in fact, because that is a Suddha Sattvic. So these are the 6 Puranas that we can at least, we can, if at all, can really believe. So that some good thing is there. Again, some of the thing, even Sattvic Puranas also, some information is not right. It's all mutilated already. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you read only Srimad Bhagavatam, everything else is actually mutilated by whoever scholars. Rajasic Puranas, Brahmanda Purana, Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Markandeya Purana, Bhavishya Purana, Vamana Purana and Brahma Purana, they have partial truth. Okay, so you can actually take some of them. Tamasic Purana, Matsya Purana, Kurma Purana, Linga Purana, Shiva Purana, Skanda Purana and Agni Purana is so many problems. It's actually, these Puranas are made of illusion. These are only meant for demonic people, in fact, because they do not contain the full truth. Okay? So this is now depending on one's mode of, if their mode is mode of goodness, they will have automatically attracted to the Sattvic Purana. If their mode is actually ignorance, then they will be attracted to the Tamasic Puranas. And if they are actually more of, activities, Rajasic, then they will be attracted to these kind of Puranas. So this is naturally, everybody has that. Now, if you see that, roots of all the religions, if you see that, these are all the basic roots. Asha, Bhaya, Kartavya, Buddhi. These are the 3 fundamental reasons of all the religions. Okay, I put a line there because I will talk about that later. Asha means what? Desire. Out of material desires. They want to live comfortably. They want to be rich and wealthy. They want to be healthy and fame. And so these are the Asha. Out of material desires. Where do they go? They go to heavens of gods. That's what, it's all there. Yanti Deva, the Bhagavad Gita says all those. Then the second category is Bhaya, out of fear. If you don't worship God, you will be hell. You will go to hell. In fact, Buddhism is based mainly on Bhaya. They don't want to accept the fact that there is even a God exists. There is all what? Nirvana, void. That's it. You becomes null, zero. You become zero. So that to escape from this fear. Alright? So now also, even other religions also, if you don't worship, if you don't come to church or something, you will go to hell. So they will go, because out of fear. Kartavya Buddhi is Vaiti Bhakti. Vaiti Bhakti means so much of rules and regulation you won't believe. So much of rules and regulation they will put. Their destination is Vaikuntha, because this is all Dasya Bhakti. Now, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really brought here is not of any of these Asha, Bhaya or Kartavya Buddhi. These 3 like RGB, red, green and blue. Remember, when you mix it, you have different colors. So the colors of different religions, because there are about more than 200 religions are there. So these different religions are the outcome of different mix of these 3 colors. That's what the color of the religions is. But above all, which does not happen except once in a Brahma's lifetime, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to give this one, coming from Goloka. If that prema does not really belong to here at all, it doesn't belong to any universe. That only in one day of Brahma, after that Swayam Bhagavan himself comes, which happened 5,000 years ago in the Dwapara Yuga, when he comes there in Saturn Manvantara, he really chooses, that is the Swayam Bhagavan. And immediately following that is the Danya Kali. That Kali Yuga is right now, we are in the Danya Kali, and we are so fortunate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. And he came and gave us unconditional love. It's not Asha, it's not Bhaya, it's not Kartavya Buddhi. It's way higher. That is called Raga. Raga Nuga. This is Prema Bhakti. Any desire? No desire. Only one desire. Make Krishna happy. Not me happy. I want to go to Vaikunta and then be happy there. No. That is Kartavya Buddhi. That is Vaidhi Bhakti. The Raganuga is only desire is what? To make Krishna happy. That's what the gopis were doing. Where the destination? Doesn't matter. In fact, Prema Bhaktas, they don't care about where they will go. They will not ask for mukti. Mukti is out of the question. They will kick it out. Where the destination? Doesn't matter. Whatever Krishna wants them to really put them into, that's not a problem. So their desire, only desire is to keep Krishna happy, and destination they don't care. But then out of mercy, Krishna gives Gauraka Vrindavan. But the devotee is not asking for anything. He does not ask for anything. Whereas if we see all the first three, there are only getting. But here, Raga is give. Give to Krishna. Give yourself to your Krishna. Now, coming back to Srimad Bhagavatam, what is Srimad Bhagavatam? This is actually came from Sri Krishna. All his pastimes are actually all flowing through Lord Brahma, then Narada Muni, then Veda Vyasa. They're all disciplic succession, and finally Sukadeva Goswami it came to. So every Brahmanda has Bhagavatam. Every Brahmanda. How many Brahmandas are there? Unlimited Brahmandas are there. Now our Brahmanda has only 10% of the original whatever that Lord played here when he was there 5,000 years ago. Some of them are actually getting many, it is really, like manifested through highly devotee, very high devotees. That's why they really write it. Okay, some of them, right? Basically our six Goswami, they also reveal some of them. But even then, the Bhagavatam, what we get is only 10% of the original of our Brahmanda. Adishesha with the innumerable tongues cannot complete describing the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Why this 10%? Because the reason is, when Veda Vyasa wanted to write the entire Bhagavatam, he approached Vinayaka, Lord Ganesha, because he helped him in writing, scribing the Mahabharata. So in that respect, he approached Ganesh. And Ganesh said, he said, okay, he got proud, he got puffed up because he helped Veda Vyasa before. So he said, all right, I can do the work, but I have a condition. You have to keep on telling all the thing without stopping, because I can write so fast. If we stop reciting the narration of the Bhagavatam, of course from the trance, then I will stop writing. Then Veda Vyasa also put a condition. Oh, you have a condition? All right, that's fine. But I will also tell one thing, because you are great in jnana. You are jnana, fruit of the jnana. You are the super. So what you do is, whenever I tell the sloka in trance, you have to understand it and write it. That's all I am asking. Oh, no problem, I will do it. So then Veda Vyasa went in trance, and Bhagavatam started coming the same way, as you see. So it was coming from Narada Muni, all the way coming there. And he was, he was in trance. And then Lord Ganesh started writing. Now what happened to us? When he was writing, there was every sloka that Veda Vyasa was uttering, Lord Ganesh was understanding and then writing it. But then he came into one sloka. Canto 1 and Canto 1, Chapter 2, I think it's the first one or second one, something there. There he could not understand. But the rule is, without understanding he cannot write it. So he stopped, thinking, but meanwhile, Vedavyasa was in trance. He has no idea what is going on. He was just telling, the slokas were just coming and coming and coming and coming. And it was really taking days. And finally, then Vedavyasa opened his eyes. But he saw Ganesh was in tension. And he saw, okay, did you write everything? No. How much did you write? Hardly anything. Couple of chapters. Because he could not understand. This is why we do not have the entire Srimad Bhagavatam that was manifested. He is supposed to be manifested in our earth. On our earth, Bhumi. But what we got is just only a fragment. Because of some condition, Parikshit Maharaj was cursed. So that he had to complete hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam within 7 days. So Sukadeva Goswami condensed everything into just packed. He left so many. Just very few things that we read. That's what the Bhagavatam we have. Even that, people are not able to read it. It's a problem. So who is this Sukadeva Goswami? In fact, initially he was his Swarupa, original Swarupa, he's a parrot of Srimati Radharani. He's always sitting on her left hand. He appeared along with Radha and Krishna 5,000 years ago and stayed on the earth as per the instruction by Radharani. Why? When they really left that, when they unwound their pastimes, Sukadeva Goswami also, this parrot also wanted to go back. But Radharani said, no, I have one mission for you. So you have to stay here. So the parrot did not like, he was such a mood of separation, he was crying. But its order is order. Then he really stayed. Now what happened was, eventually he entered in the mouth of Vedavyasa's wife and born as a renounced as son of Vedavyasa. How it happened? Okay, that's the story. Sukadeva Goswami, when he was a parrot, he was listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam being narrated by Lord Shiva to Parvati Devi. So Parvati Devi was listening from Lord Shiva. So it was nice, between husband and wife, they relax, right? So Lord Shiva started talking and then Parvati Devi sat and then he was, just saying, okay, good. So Lord Shiva really told, I want you to make sure that you understand everything. So that means every sloka that you recite, you have to say, okay, good, okay, go ahead. Or good. Something that you have to acknowledge. Otherwise, I don't know whether you understood or not. Alright? And Lord Shiva went in trance. Okay? Trance. Okay, close the eyes. And then he was really narrating the Bhagavatam. And it is flowing. And Parvati Devi was just listening. And as per the statement, what? Every sloka, Parvati Devi is supposed to say, oh yes, okay, next one. Yes, I understood, like that. Then, after some time, what happened was, Parvati Devi went to sleep. This is what happening. See, we are not able to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a nectar, but the problem is we don't. And all the Srimad Bhagavatam right from the beginning, the Sukadeva as a parrot was sitting on a branch and listening to what Lord Shiva was narrating. And Parvati Devi was telling, oh yes, next one, I understood, next one. So it was going on. And all of a sudden Parvati Devi went to sleep. And Lord Shiva was waiting for that response. So then Sukadeva Goswami as a parrot, he thought, oh, I want to hear the whole Bhagavatam. If Lord Shiva is not hearing that response, he is going to stop. So what he did? He assumed the voice of Parvati Devi and he said, yes, next one. So he was acknowledging. And Lord Shiva completed the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Complete Bhagavatam. And who was listening in fact? Not Parvati Devi. Parvati Devi listened only little bit. But then he went to sleep. And the parrot, who is Sukadeva Goswami, actually heard all the full Srimad Bhagavatam. And in fact, why Bhagavatam is actually coming through Lord Shiva? Vaishnavanam yada sambhuhu. First Vaishnava is Lord Shiva. Without Lord Shiva's mercy, we cannot really go to Krishna. Forget it. It's not possible. This is the way. Alright. But he is actually acting in tamasic role. That is different thing. That is his job. That is different. But he is a Vaishnava. So then Sukadeva Goswami was listening all. But the problem was, when Lord Shiva woke up, basically completed the whole story, he saw Parvati was sleeping. He said, get up, what happened? How much did you listen? Oh, where? How much did you listen? Oh, no, I went to sleep because, whatever, I was tired or something. And then, then he found out that Parvati Devi did not even listen to even little bit. Like Ganesh did the other way. Look at here, they also gooped up. And here also gooped up. Then Lord Shiva wondered who was then giving the go-ahead, acknowledgement for me. There must be something, somebody must have been doing this one. And he looked at all around and saw the parrot. That was none other than Sukadeva Goswami. He understood immediately who was the one who was cheating, making Lord Shiva to really keep on continuing. So then Lord Shiva thought, just for a parrot, I have been really narrating this wonderful history. This is not good. And he did a mischief. Then he really took a bow and arrow and he was chasing the parrot. Parrot just flew away and ran. He was following. And all the way, then he reached the place of Vedavyasa. Vedavyasa and his Patni were there. This bird just like that went, and then afterward, boom, just went into the mouth of Vedavyasa. That was how Sukadeva Goswami learned Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva. And then he now vanished. Lord Shiva was angrily coming and then asked Vedavyasa, where is he? Where did he go? Then Vedavyasa said, oh Lord Shiva, oh Ishvara, wait. So what are you trying to do? I have to shoot, I have to kill that bird. Because who really heard Srimad Bhagavatam from my mouth? Then Vedavyasa said, listen, what has been written in Bhagavatam itself? When one hears the Srimad Bhagavatam, he becomes immortal. There is no death for him. How can you kill him? Then he understood and he left the place. So now that Sukadeva Goswami then eventually narrated Srimad Bhagavatam, the condensed form, to Parikshit Maharaj. How did it happen? Okay, now we have to go back to the history back again. So you all know Abhimanyu was the son of Arjuna and Subhadra Devi. Right? And then Abhimanyu and Uttara, for them, Parikshit Maharaj was conceived. And in fact, Ashwatthama used his Brahmastra to kill Parikshit Maharaj. He already killed those sons of Pandavas. Remember, he really cut the head and then brought that to Duryodhana at the end of the war. And then he also wanted to kill Parikshit Maharaj to wipe out the whole dynasty. But then Lord Krishna saved from Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. Who is this Ashwatthama? He is a son of Dronacharya. In fact, Right now, in this time, Veda Vyasa is the Vyasa. Krishna Dwapanaya, that's the name. Next Veda Vyasa is going to be Ashwatthama. You can see how that is going to be. Anyway, then Parikshit and his queen, Matravati, they were actually given birth, they gave birth to Janamejaya. So Janamejaya is actually a son of Parikshit Maharaj and the grandson of Arjun and Subhadra. Now, let us go back a little. We will take 3 scriptures now. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are going to get into now, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita, Laghu Bhagavatamrita and Brigad Bhagavatamrita. Okay, so that is one set. There are so many. They are all manifested by our Goswamis. Bhagavad Gita started with war, like we all have. Everyone is really fighting. In our mind, so many things we are fighting against. It's a war. Our life is a war. And at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Sharanagati happened. It started with war, but ended with Sharanagati. Arjuna took Sharanagati of Lord Krishna. Prapati. Sarva Dharman Parityajya. See, that particular sloka is really just one of the essence of Bhagavad Gita, Sharanagati. Now if we take Srimad Bhagavatam starts from Sharanagati. That's the first thing, is Sharanagati. If you have not got Sharanagati, Srimad Bhagavatam you cannot understand. You must have surrendered to Krishna. You must have accepted a Guru and surrendered to Krishna, then Sharanagati. Otherwise, Srimad Bhagavatam you cannot touch it even. And Srimad Bhagavatam starts with Sharanagati, but ends with Nama Sankirtan. Okay, this is a Bhakti Sastra. Bhagavad Gita is only introduction to Bhakti Yoga. It has all kinds of things for the general public. It's a Janata philosophy. This Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Raja Yoga, these yoga, so many things are there. But they are only for Janata people. Because you don't need, a Vaishnava does not need any of these yogas except Bhakti. So it's the introduction. Eventually it's saying that every chapter if you see at the end it says, only my Bhaktas will understand me. Only Bhakti is the superior. Even though he is talking about Karma Yoga, this yoga, all yoga, at the end he concludes, but however Bhakti is the topmost. Okay, but that is only introduction. Srimad Bhagavatam is a Bhakti Sastra. So Nama Sankirtan, it ends. Chaitanya Charitamrita, for example, it starts with Nama Sankirtan. If you do not do Nama Sankirtan, you cannot understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. You have nothing to do with there. Nama Sankirtan has to come from your breath. Then it ends with Krishna Prema. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came from Goloka to bring this Krishna Prema, which is not at all available in any planetary system. It belongs only to Goloka. But he brought it only for that special Danya Kali, which is happening right now, which will happen only once in the day of Brahma, which is 4.32 billion years. So we better really make use of it. What is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, as I said? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja agam tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma chusaha. He says, completely abandoning all bodily and mental dharma, fully surrendered to me alone, I shall liberate you from all reactions to your sins. Do not grieve. That is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. And what is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam? Nama Sankirtanam yasya sarva papa pranasanam pranamo dukkha samanas tam namami harim param. Congregational chanting of Lord's name destroys all sins. Offering pranam to him relieves all material suffering. I offer my pranams to that Lord Hari. So congregational chanting of Lord name destroys everything. Nama Sankirtanam yes sarva papa pranasanam. Okay? So it starts with Bhagavad Gita starts with the war, ends with Saranagati, and this starts with Saranagati and ends with Nama Sankirtan. If you see the last 12th canto, because Srimad Bhagavatam has 12th canto. So you can see in the 12th canto, 13th chapter, 23rd text, this is what it says. That's the conclusion. Like the Sarva Dharman Parityesa as a conclusion of the Gita, here is the conclusion. Now what is the conclusion of Chaitanya Charitamrita? Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Oh, this is about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Oh, most munificent incarnation. You are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what is he actually? What is he bringing? Krishna Prema Pradayate. See, distributing pure love of Krishna, which never happens other than him. Nobody has qualification to do that. Mahavishnu cannot do that. Vishnu cannot do it. No, only he has to come and do it. And also not alone. He has to come with Radharani's mood. So both need to combine. Krishna and Radharani's Samgada Rupa. They are with all joined together. He is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without actually surrendering to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no Krishna Prema can ever be obtained. Just impossible. Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you read, this is what it will be again, saying again and again and again and again. How we got the Bhagavatam? I will just probably, I won't be able to really cover a lot what I thought today. But I will just conclude with this story because already 9 o'clock. Srimad Bhagavatam, the way it really came was very, very special. After Krishna left the planet, Pandavas were dejected. They were so unhappy and they wanted to leave everything. They really gave the whole kingdom to Parikshit and then left there to Himalayas. Anyway, that's another story. The Pandavas then crowd their grandson Parikshit and the king of the Hastinapur, and along with their wife Draupadi, they all gave up their kingdom and went to the Himalayas to meditate. Okay? So Parikshit was a great ruler and looked very well after Hastinapur. But unknown to the Pandavas and Parikshit, a greater threat loomed with the death of Lord Krishna. Not death, because I won't say death. Lord Krishna never died. He only transitioned from one to another. So during the 9th day of Mahabharata war, between the Pandavas and Kauravas, the 3rd Yuga had actually ended. And the last Yuga, Kali Yuga, had already started. It was 9th day of the war. However, because Krishna was still there, Kali could not spread all through the earth. As he was, furthering his victory march, he came across Parikshit Maharaj was really, going all over, making sure, all the citizens, everybody is all taken care well and everything. And if you see that, there are 4 yugas are really having different aspects. For example, the Dharma Yuga, that is Satya Yuga, has purity, austerity, charity and truthfulness, all 4. And then the next one, Treta Yuga, the purity will be gone. Only austerity, charity and truthfulness. Then coming to Dwapar Yuga, what have austerity and then austerity will be also gone. So only some charities will be there and truthfulness. And when it comes to Kali Yuga, Purity is gone, austerity is gone, charity also gone, only truthfulness. That's what it is there for some time. So anyway, so he was just going on a tour. In fact, he really wanted to conquer, and he was just going through places. One place he saw a man was torturing a cow and a calf, and he was cutting the legs, and the cow was standing in only one leg, limping, and he was about to cut that fourth leg also, and that got into attention of Parikshit Maharaj. He immediately pulled his sword and ran to that man. He pretended that he is a king, and he was about to cut off his head. But that man bowed to him, said, no, please do not kill me. I have a purpose, because God has really created me also. Who are you? I am Kali. Kali Purush. But I want to kill you. No, you please do not kill me. I will surrender at your lotus feet. Please, do not kill me. All right, I will leave you alone. But you should not really have anything to do with in my kingdom. You should really get away. Okay, but I need a place to stay. Please give me at least some place to stay. Then, look at here, Parikshit Maharaj, out of his mercy, he said, okay, ask where exactly you want to stay. I will stay in the place where only these things will be there. What are those places? Animal slaughtering places, and places of intoxications, and gambling places, and illicit marital relation. So these are the only, these are the places that you really, please give that list to me, because now then realized when he asked for all these, because these are the place Kali actually resides. And in fact, when Parikshit Maharaj was ruling, none of these actually happens. No animal slaughtering, no intoxications, no gambling, and no illicit marital relation. So he was always, fully dharmic rule. So Parikshit Maharaj, because he was asking, he granted. So that, anyway, he is not going to be really in his kingdom. He is somewhere else. But then, something happened. Kali asked for one more place. I want, no, because these 4 places are not at all, it's not enough. Because in your kingdom, these are not happening. But please give me one more place. That's all. I want to ask anything else. Parikshit Maharaj, yes, okay, all right, that's all I will give. Last one place. Ask me. He said, gold. I want to stay in gold. Okay, gold. All right, I am not bothered about gold. I am renounced, right? Renounced king. All right, I am really ruling it only for the sake of the Lord. All right, take the gold. Yes, you can be there. And this is how Kali got into gold also. So Parikshit Maharaj was so merciful, so he agreed. So you can see that this is how the gold is really playing in this world. If you see that the materialistic people versus the Krishna conscious devotee, you can see the difference. What you see on the left is completely materialistic person. He wants to decorate himself fully complete with gold, ornaments and gold watch and these gold chain, these and everything. Completely nonsense, useless. And look at the Krishna conscious devotee on the other hand. They wear only Tulasi Mala. You see? This is a big difference. Very big difference, in fact. But then, now Parikshit Maharaj gave the place of gold. Kali got it. Now I tricked him. Immediately he got into the crown because the crown was made of gold. He got into that. And he tricked Parikshit Maharaj's brain. So much he got proud And in that path, he was actually going. He became thirsty. He wanted to have some water. So he was looking for some places there. Some, Rishi's ashram or something. He found one. There was a small ashram of Shaimika Rishi. So he thought, all right, I can get some water here. And he went inside, and there Shaimika Rishi was just meditating. And Parikshit Maharaj said, I am here, I am the king, Parikshit have really come. But the Rishi did not hear, because he was in meditation, deep in meditation. And because of the Kali, he really got popped up. I am the king, and he is not listening to me. He is listening to something else. This is not good. So he was looking that I should really insult him. He was looking around. He saw the dead snake nearby. He just using his bow. He lifted just the dead snake and then put it on his neck. And the Rishi was still in meditation. He was chanting and chanting and chanting. He was in samadhi or trance. And Parikshit Maharaj was so angry and furious, and he left the place. Within some time, his son called Shringi, the son of Shaimika Rishi, called Shringi. He came and then saw his own father was really, insulted by someone who really put a dead snake on his neck. You remember those days, Brahmanas had a lot of powers. He on the spot, he just pulled his, the thread, and he, this is how Brahmanas actually give curses. And he said, whoever did this one, they will be killed by a snake. So that snake is what? Which snake? Not ordinary snake. Takshaka. He is the deadliest snake of the whole world. He will be killed by Takshaka within 7 days. So the curse was done. And he took the water and then already sprayed. Then later, his father Samika Rishi got up. He came out of trance and then understood what happened. He was so sorry. He was really, actually, he got upset on his own son. Oh Shringi, you should not have done this one. Where is your Brahminical qualities have really gone? Don't you have patience? What you have really done is very bad. Alright, so immediately he arranged to really send the news to Parikshit Maharaj, because he already got into the curse. So the news went to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj could not, when he heard it, he could not believe that he got into the curse. Very big curse. So what was the curse? You will be bitten by Takshaka, which is the deadliest snake from the other planet. It's not, you see, it's a Nagaloka. You will be finished in 7 days. Then he got panic. What can I do? I am going to be finished. This is exactly, think about that. He at least had 7 days, so that he could really think about something to do, so that he really goes back to the Godhead. But do we have that many days even? What if Corona comes tomorrow and then attack us? Finished. So you don't know when you are going to be really finished. But we feel that we are happy. But he took it serious and immediately ran to Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami, he fell at his lotus feet. Oh, please save me, please save me. I got into a curse. And now, please tell me what is the best thing to do so that I can actually, go back, because now the curse cannot be reversed. It's not possible. Once really done, curse is given, that is it. I have only 7 days to live. Please advise What is the best thing that I can do to really take care of the situation? And Sukadeva Goswami was thinking. He said, yes, I know. When I was a parrot also, look at here how, because I know, right? My father has said, when one hears Srimad Bhagavatam, becomes immortal. He is no death. Yes, for the 7 days, we will really do the Bhagavata Saptaha, arrange the whole thing. So he immediately took the thing, and then he sent the news to all the rishis all over the place. From different parts of the universe, great sages arrived. It's not like walking in those days. These rishis have mystic powers. They can travel from anywhere to anywhere just instantly. They all got the news. There is no email or nothing or WhatsApp need to be sent. They all by what? By their yogic power, they will know all the news, and they got. Who are the rishis who really all came? At least some of them. There were thousands of thousands. Atri, Saradwan, Bhrigu, Parasara, who is the father of Vedavyasa, Angira, Uttadya, Yitmavahu, Devala, Bharadwaja, Pippalada, Aurva, Kumbhayoni, Narada, this Narada Muni, Chiyavana, Aristanemi, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Parasurama, Indra Pramada, Medaditi, Artisena, Gautama, Maitreya, Kavasa, Dvaipayana, Sudha Goswami. Who is this Dvaipayana? This Dvaipayana is Vedavyasa's name. Krishna, Sri Krishna, Dvaipayana. That is his name. So Vedavyasa also came. Who was the one who in fact taught this Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. Who is Sudha Goswami? Sudha Goswami is a Shishya, disciple of Sukha Goswami. Alright, they all assembled. And meanwhile, in parallel, and there were so many, all the ministers and everybody arranged to build a big palace and surrounded by so many protections. And there were really no snake can enter. Completely, no snakes can enter. We have secured the place. And in fact, they put so much of, you won't believe, nobody can enter. Only one who can enter is to give food to them, where all the things are actually going on. Then a great sage, Kasyapa. We don't know whether it is the original Kasyapa or some other Brahmana who really happened to have the same name as the Kasyapa, was ready to come and save Parikshit Maharaj from the Takshaka's curse. She met the sage. On the way, he really went, this sage was really coming from his place, Hermitage, towards Parikshit Maharaj's palace. And Takshaka came to know, oh, something is going to happen. This person I know, this sage can really do the reverse of my poisons. So he hurried. Who? Takshaka. He disguised as a Brahmana. He came and then met the sage called Kashyapa and asked him, oh sage, where are you going? He told, yeah, actually Parikshit Maharaj has really got a curse where he is really going to be really bitten by a snake, Dakshaka, and I have all the powers to really take care of that. I am going to save him now. Oh, you are going for that? All right. You know what? I will tell you, I am that same Dakshaka. Nobody can actually escape from my poison. My poison is so dangerous. There is nothing in this entire world that can actually, really work against. No, I am big in mantras. I can do this. But how? Let us do a challenge. All right, I am going to really bite. somewhere, and then you try to apply your mantra, and the nearby was actually a banana tree, all greenish and with so much of flowers and everything, so nicely fresh. And the Dakshaka said, I am going to bite this one to burn this banana tree into just ash, just like that, lifeless. All right, do it. Dakshaka did the bite. He really assumed his real form, and he beat on the banana tree. Within second, the whole banana tree completely all dried up and burnt into ashes. Now you do. What are you going to do now? You try your power now. Okay? I am going to do it now. So he invoked the mantras. Right? Took some water from the Kamandala, chanted the mantra, and put it on that charred banana tree. That is it. Magically the banana tree came back to life. And it sprouted all the greens, everything, as if nothing happened. The tree came to life because of the power of the mantra. Dakshaka was now shivering. Oh, then I cannot really kill. I cannot kill Parikshit Maharaj. This is shame. No. Okay, who is great? Okay, now I have to make sure that this sage is not going to make it. You know what he said? Nagaloka is full of jewels. So much of jewels. You won't believe how much jewels they have. And he said, I am going to give so much of jewels to you. Please get away. That sage got into the bribe. He got so much of wealth, accepted so much of wealth, and returned back. But how now Dakshaka is actually trying to think how he can enter into the palace. Meanwhile, 7 days are going on. Now the 7th day is coming. Okay, so Bhagavatam class is going on. And the 7th day is coming. And this Dakshaka is now trying to get in. How he can actually get in? But all protected. Nothing can enter. Only some fruits and vegetables, they all can be given. But also that the Parikshit Maharaj he never ate. Never drank anything. Because only true, this is for others. And Dakshaka, he got disguised as a small Om. He entered into the fruit of one of the fruit. That is supposed to be given to the people there in the palace. Okay? And now that fruit goes there. When the fruit really went in, without anyone noticing it, and when it reached, that was the 7th day. It was ending. Srimad Bhagavatam was ending. Everybody thought nothing is going to happen. And all of a sudden, this Om comes from that fruit and manifests into its original form as Dakshaka. And he comes with the furious burns of fire and all poison. He really beat Parikshit Maharaj. But Parikshit Maharaj, nothing happened. Why? Because it's already 7 days of Bhagavatam have been really done already. He already liberated. He got detached from his body. He doesn't have any pain or nothing. But his body completely burnt. Then his son of Parikshit Maharaj, Janamejaya, he wanted to take a revenge. I am going to kill all the snakes from that snake loka. You know the loka where all the snakes are there. He really called for a big yajna, and he called all the sages, because now the Dakshaka has vanished. Everybody has just gone, done. And Parikshit Maharaj is finished, right? Body is finished. Now he really arranged. And so many sages came with powerful mantras. They were chanting the mantras so that it will be pulling out all the nagas from the Nagaloka one by one, and it was all getting forced into this fire. And it was burning and burning. The entire place was like smelling like crazy. But this Dakshaka was not coming. Except Dakshaka, every snake is actually falling down. Then the sage immediately found out. So he was asking, Janamejaya was asking, what happened? Then the head priest said, oh, he is with Indra. He is staying with Indra, and with his Indra's power, he is now there, protecting there. And immediately Janamejaya said, okay, all right, chant the mantras to bring Indra also down. Along with him, both together. They were all coming down and down and down, down. They were about to be burned. That was to be burned. Along with Indra and Dakshaka. But then all the gods came into picture now. Oh, this is bad because Indra is the god of the, right? He's god of the demigods. So they really came to settlement. And they said, all right, we are not going to, all right, okay. So then he really excused the thing. And all right, whatever that has happened, we are not going to, we cannot really get back your father, because these are all arranged, because otherwise, it's all Lord's arrangement. So many things are there. So don't go against. And that was how we got Srimad Bhagavatam. So that 7 days during that time is what we got. And there are 10 topics of Bhagavatam. I am not going to go with that. Sarga, elemental creation. Second, Visarga, secondary creation. 3, Sthanam, planetary systems. 4, Poshanam, protection by the Lord. 5th, Udayaha, creative impetus. That means creation. What the cause of the creation? And Manvantara, different Manus. And Isha Anukata, science of God. And Nirodha, the dissolution of the planetary systems, creation. And Mukti, liberation. And Ashraya, supreme shelter. These are the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. I am not going to go in this one. And also, as a, like small note, Madan Mohini, so you will be singing your Kaichi 18 next week. Not this week, next week. Right?
Already 9:30.
Okay, already going to be 9:30. Now we'll do the Nama Sankirtan and then end for today.